to you all. I feel very bad for it. I have in the past noticed that for seasonal TBRs, lots of the time people have the same book on multiple seasonal TBRs, and I was arrogant, and I thought I was above this, and you were about to learn I very much am not. Okay, everyone, it is fall TBR time, because I'm switching to seasonal TBRs, because monthly TBRs is too many videos being TBRs, and they're too short. And you may notice, if you look at my summer TBR, on the thumbnail, it said, Enter Daniel Abraham, stage left. Well, unless I finish the book I'm reading, and then start and finish a Daniel Abraham book in the next day, I will have read 0 Daniel Abraham books during summer of 2022. So we are going to start for the fall TBR by doing the books where I failed, that I had in the other previous TBR and I didn't do. And the first of which is, I said I was going to finish The Black Company. I didn't. I've got like this left, which is 2 books, and the last 3 books are longer, and I've got like that much less of Shadow Games, like 100 and something pages. I might go read a bunch of that after I make this video and try and get near done that and finish that tomorrow. And then all I'll have left is the ominously titled The Many Deaths of the Black Company. Yeah, I just got distracted with other things and I failed, and I'm sorry. So, yeah. I'll get to that. This time, 100% I will finish The Black Company in fall of 2022. Okay? Like 100%. I'm very much considering just like going through the last 3 pretty rapid fire, except one novella in the middle that I'm gonna get to. But I might actually bang out the entirety of The Black Company in September, or like finish this in September and finish this in October. This is gonna happen. Okay. The next 2, which I kind of grouped together because they kind of have a similar... No, well, I don't know if they have a similar vibe. I haven't read them. I have a similar perception for what the vibe of these series are, and that is The Curse of the Chalion by Louis McMaster Bujold, and A Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. I have no idea which of these I'm going to read first. Now, Alan would tell me to read A Shadow in Summer first, and a bunch of people who have told me to read Curse of the Chalion, but most of them haven't read both. And so far, everyone who's read both has told me to read Curse of the Chalion first. And frankly, Alan, if you're going to complain, I'm going to point out you had Curse of the Chalion on like your first TBR video, and you didn't read it. So Louis McMaster Bujold deserves the respect of our community, which you have not provided. Also, Verkosian was one of your Patreon picks, so I feel I am duty-bound to read this before this. Also, I just think it's funny. because Alan knows I'm gonna like Long Price Quartet. I am the target audience of Long Price Quartet. Things I like include family dramas and like slow burn, relationship driven character books, and books that cover a lot of time, like at Long Price Quartet. But I'm also the target audience for this. So, and anyways, I'm probably gonna read this first, but I'm gonna read Long Price Quartet in fall of 2022. I don't know if I'll finish. I will at least start Long Price Quartet in fall of 2022. I will not let you down, Alan, okay? I mostly promise. I'm 90-something% confident. And speaking of Daniel Abraham, this is everything else from this section I'm going to hope to finish by 2022. That's why I don't have as many series on this TBR, because I was like, wait a second, Jake, just because you read a lot of things, you don't need that many series, because when you start a series, it's got more books. But there's one I'm definitely not finishing, but I am going to start, which is The Expanse, Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey, which is 2 people, which is Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank. So more Daniel Abraham. I need a big series when I'm done Black Company, because I have a weird definition of big series where I consider Black Company a big series because it's 9 books, but in my head I don't consider like the Dandelion Dynasty a big series because it's 4, even though the 4 books like add up to a bigger word count than the 9 books, and my version of the Black Company comes in 4 books, which are shorter than the Dandelion Dynasty books, but whatever. Black Company's a long series. Dandelion Dynasty is a short series. Don't question it. And this is actually a long series, so I'm definitely not going to finish that fast, and I'm going to start plugging through The Expanse, which I feel like I'm pretty late on. Okay, that's the stuff that I failed you on. I said I was going to read all that stuff in fall and failed. So, oops. To be fair, I did read some Black Comet. I didn't read any of the other stuff. So there's two series that mainly distracted me. Didn't read those for a couple of reasons. One, just I didn't read as much as I wanted to anyways. And two, I got distracted by two new series for two different reasons. And one of those was Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe, of which I finished the first half, like, last night, basically. No, 2 nights ago. And so I'm going to be continuing this. This is kind of my side book, because it's a wee bit dense. So I'm kind of reading, like, a chapter or two a day. They're short chapters, as I'm reading something else. And it's going really well. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I'm not catching 95% of the stuff. But for the most part, even when I can tell the book is way too smart for me and I'm missing a bunch of stuff, the stuff I'm able to get is still like, I'm still getting a normal amount of stuff out of the book. It just, there's the impression that there's so much I'm missing because of how much stuff is packed into those like 410 pages. So I am enjoying it. I liked Shadow of the Torturer more than Claw of the Conciliator. I don't think Claw of the Conciliator was worse. I just think Shadow of the Torturer was too smart for me, but was able to be enjoyable and really interesting while being too smart for me. And Claw of the Conciliator, at parts, it being too smart for me made me not enjoy it as much. Yeah, should get this done reasonably soon. I started this because of Christopher Rocchio's interview on Media Death Cult, and he had this as his favorite sci-fi book, and man, that was a good pitch. That was as good of a pitch of a series as I have ever encountered. I think, so Christopher Rocchio is going to think I have bad taste, because so far I like this less than Sun Eater. I'm just more emotionally invested in Sun Eater. Anyway, it's brilliant, though. Also, I'm probably going to do a video on why it's not like the Malazan of sci-fi. Like, they're both have, like, 3 things in common. They're both weird, they're both challenging, and they're both really good. But, like, the things that make them challenging, weird, and really good are all really different. Anyway, the other way I was derailed was with the Chaos Walking trilogy by Patrick Ness, which apparently there was a hype train for that I'm about a decade late on. And the story behind this is there is a man on Discord named Faber. And Faber was someone I wanted to read the Sarantine Mosaic. He'd read The Lines of Our Tigana, loved both, pretended to read Sailing to Sarantium on April Fools and pretended to hate it, and got me really good. And we did like a TBR swap where I said I would read this if he read the Sarantine Mosaic. And it's gone very well because he's read the Sarantine Mosaic. And you might have seen I liked his Goodreads review. His Goodreads review of Lord of Emperors was 47 stars, and he wrote in Discord that it was his favorite book ever. Well, that went pretty well. It's worth noting, Faber has he's like a revolving door of favorite books ever, where it's like if you ask him on 10 different days, he'll have 10 different answers. But Lord of the Emperors was like added to the group of books that are his favorite book on some day. And I loved The Knife of Never Letting Go. I've read book 1 of this already, and it was fantastic. It was a phenomenal book, basically in every way. It was paced fantastically, like it got me page turning and staying up really late, had really interesting characters. It's one of the only books that's made like the narrator like deliberately spelling things wrong actually work, because like 1, it just fits his like vocabulary so well, and 2, I can still tell what he's saying. Like it's not the character from Lightbringer who's all his words are spelled wrong, where I'm like, what are you even trying to say? This guy, like, it fits, but also I can tell what it says. Fascinating mysteries. Some of those fascinating like mysteries I've encountered in a book, which does make me think it's going to be hard for book 2 and 3 to live up to book 1, because so much of book 1 was propelled by like amazing mysteries, and like the way things are fed to you in the setting and you try and figure stuff out was fantastic. Also a very good boy and an animal companion in Manchi. Yeah, brilliant book. I went in completely blind. I know nothing about it. There's going to be a review for the trilogy when I'm done it. And right now, if nothing changes, it will be my September book of the month. Next up will be probably the next book I read. And actually, depending on how late I stay up tonight, this technically might get read in summer, because I might read it tomorrow, because it's Binti. So short you can't even read the title. This is the book for my university book club. And it's really short, because it's first month of the semester. So we picked a really short book. I know almost nothing about this book. I know it's really short, and I know it's supposed to be good. There you go. And it's got pretty big font, too. It's like 20,000 words. So I'll read this, like, in a sitting, presumably. So that won't take long, and might end up being tomorrow, might end up being in a few days. Whatever. It'll be early, but this is one of the things that was not on previous TBR, but is going to go in, and that's going to be true for other books of the month, although we have that planned out for the entire winter for the Uni Book Club. Next up, also for the University Book Club, which will be the month after, will be Exaltation by Ted Chiang, which is a collection of like really ideas-focused short stories. I have never read anything by this author, but I've heard extremely good things. What's up, Bran? You can have a yay Ted Chiang comment on this video instead of Algorithm, because I know he's one of your favorite authors. And this was picked by Democracy, the last time we were doing Democracy for the club, but it was rigged Democracy because I picked all three options, because me and the other person picked all three options, and it was all short story collections. It was this, The Paper Menagerie, and Ladies of Grace Adieu, and this did win, and I'm pretty damn excited for it. And last of all, I have something here that I have as a technicality. And because if I don't read it, it means I lied. Because at the beginning of the year, I made plans for 2022, and I had a list of series that I said, like, I would definitely, like, read. Which presumably I meant, like, get into, not necessarily finish, considering I had some long stuff on there. There's two series on there I haven't started yet. One is the Long Price Quartet. The other is the Lycanius trilogy. So I guaranteed I would read this at the start of the year. But I don't know if I'm gonna. I might. I'm not super excited for it. I feel like no one's talked about it for a while. The people who originally made me hype for it are people who I first started interacting with like when I got in on the community, but then like kind of tastes of diverged, I feel like. So yeah. We'll see what happens. I might read it. I might not. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to read it eventually because I own it. Surely I should give it a try. Supposed to be... I know the character and writing stuff isn't supposed to be amazing, but it's supposed to be really well plotted, and the world building is supposed to be really good. Yeah. We'll see. Anyways, that's it. We got all the others I'm going to read. Yeah, all the others I'm going to read. I've been somewhat careful to not be like, oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, there's a read-along going. For those who don't know, I'm going to mention it again. Dandelion Dynasty, Art-Edited Grace of Kings, reviews on the channel, going to be a live show with Jimmy Nuts, then there's going to be a Wall of Storms live show with RJ Gibson and maybe someone else, and then there's going to be a Veiled Throne live show with Bookworm and maybe someone else, and then there's going to be a Speaking Bones live show with Read by Kyle, and maybe someone else, and then maybe there's going to be like a huge spoiler talk at the end. So if you're interested in reading along the Dandelion Dynasty with a bunch of people, and if you have a channel and are reading along with it, you might be that maybe someone else. I've got chats for it in Sarah's, Daniel's, Mike's, Alex's, and there's also some Discords that just have like Ken Liu channels that I'm reacting in. So if you're in any of those, you can participate. I'm dropping my comments in any of them, and you can participate in any or all of them, and we will be happy to have you. Grace of Kings was very unique, and I think very good. I do have a review for that, and that was a good book. And I have heard Wall of Storms is even better and also very different, and I'm extremely excited. And on that note, to end, I feel like I should make a 5-star prediction. I don't know if there's any books that like I feel like there's have to be an upset for there to be like a 9.5. I feel like when I make 5-star predictions, for me to succeed, I want it to be like a 9.5 or higher. I predicted a lot of 9.4s in the last couple of years, curses, and 9.3s. But realistically, like if I go something 9.3, like that's technically 4.5 rounded up. Or like, for example, a 9.4 would be 4.7, which would round down to 4.5. But a 9.5 would be 4.75, which would round up to 5? Anyways, I feel like I don't want to, even though I don't want to predict one of these because I feel like it relied on the mysteries, so it'd be hard for me to imagine these being like even better than book 1, although book 1 came quite close. It would be, for a 5-star prediction, it would be between Soldiers Live by Glenn Cook, But that would be bold considering I've liked every Black Company book, but none have been particularly close to a 5 stars. The next on there would be Citadel of the Autarch, which is the end of Book of the New Sun, which is supposed to be genius and not only be like really good, but make the previous stuff better in hindsight. I also could say I might at the end just like decide to vote for Book of the New Sun as a 5 star, even though like I've read half of it and I haven't enjoyed either that much. Don't think that's because of quality, and I think it's possible I would enjoy them that much on reread or with more context. But I think I'm gonna go with The Wall of Storms by Ken Liu. Everyone seems to love that book. Well, who liked Grace of Kings. It seems to be most people's favorite. And so I'm going to go with that as my 5-star prediction. But the only 5-star predictions that like kind of count, like when I get to the end of the year and I'm like, how did I do for my 5-star predictions? It's the one I made in my 2022 plans. And spoiler, the answer is not that good. I got one correct. But I guess I've only given 2 books, 9.5 or higher this year. So technically I got 50%. That's pretty good. And to be fair, also 2 of the predictions were like 9.4s. Okay, anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. Let me know, do you think I am lying in this video and I'm only going to read like half of these and I'm going to get distracted? Like, I'm going to be like a dog walking down and it's just like, squirrel. Who's just like, reread Life Ship. I'll probably reread Ship of Magic. I'm going to reread A Song for a Bone, cause book club for December. Who might read Words of Radiance, Lord of Chaos. So, yeah, so anyways, I want you to tell me. I said I would read. I have 12 books here that I specifically said I would read, which lead to series that. But for the 12 books that I held up, and I guess the 3 for the read along, so 15 because I don't have the 3 books yet. Wall of Storms is on its way. I said specifically I would read 15 books. Let me know in the comments. Out of 15, how many do you think I will actually read? And also, will Alan yell at me if I read Curse of the Chalian before a Long Price Quartet? But also yell at Alan for not reading Vorkosian or Curse of the Chalian. I was a Patreon. Oh no, he reset. Whatever. You know what you did. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully I'm not lying. I tried to be somewhat realistic for this and not just like add a bunch of stuff. So I'm hoping that I did okay. Yeah, let me know. Do you have any summer reading plans? Does that involve the Dandelion Dynasty? Say it. If you join now, then I might do more read-alongs in the future. Let me know. Have a nice day, everyone.